Tesla's DOJO announcement yesterday. Actually, it wasn't really an announcement, it was a tweet by their head of AI infrastructure. And the meaning of that tweet is that Tesla is on the verge of exponentially growing their compute power for a specific use case, which is video learning. And I wanna parse this a little bit and give it some meaning because I think it's very, very important. I think it's actually one of those things that maybe a few years from now we'll go back and say, well, this was the beginning of a massive wealth creation wave that Tesla is going to build. It has to do with AI, it has to do with robotics, it has to do with things moving around in an intelligent way. So this is what the fundamental idea is behind it. And I try to put DOJO in its place where it belongs when it comes to the idea of advancing AI and in particular robotics AI. Again, I think it's a big, big deal. I think it's important. I think we as Tesla investors need to be aware of it, and it's a reason to buy the stock today. This is an Not Even Wrong podcast. It's June 22nd, 2023. The fund is up roughly 123% for the year, and the market's up 13.8. We're outperforming by 109.2. The market's still open. This is the second episode of today, so things haven't changed much in the market. Again, the market's still open. These numbers could change. Now let's talk about this announcement. So the head of AI infrastructure at Tesla, which interestingly enough is also running machine learning foundations at Twitter. So this is a person that has two functions now. And just as a side note, I think this is very encouraging that we have very high-level talent at Tesla also working for Twitter in similar capacities. I believe what this person is doing is bringing the infrastructure necessary to build models in terms of, let's say, doing transformers, large language models, things along those lines, which I think are the future of AI, which I think are incredibly critical when it comes to trying to unpack the new findings and the new insights that we got from things like ChatGPT. So now let's talk about the announcement on Twitter. What he said is that, look, we're right now beginning with compute at a certain level equivalent to a certain amount of GPUs. But that curve over time in the next 6 to 18 months will grow exponentially. So Tesla will be able to do compute at a much larger scale, at a much larger clip measured in terms of GPU time. Now, this, of course, has big implications for, let's say, NVIDIA, of course. It just means that Tesla is ahead of NVIDIA when it comes to their particular use case. Not yet, but will be. I think more general, though, what it means is that Tesla is competing on the compute side with the largest player in AI today, with NVIDIA, which, by the way, itself has a market cap of $1 trillion. So I think once you see these connections, you have to start thinking, well, okay, what does this mean for Tesla? Now, the way I see it is, look, you have this big wave of AI, and no matter what applications will be possible, and some applications will be possible for sure, maybe it will even be changing the world. We don't know these things, but one thing is for sure, there will be a lot of investment, and the only way we will unlock the power of AI is going to be by building the right compute under it. Somebody has to do the work. Somebody has to do the compute. And that compute currently is provided by NVIDIA. That's why NVIDIA is so valuable. And what Tesla is doing is they're building a compute infrastructure themselves for one particular use case. And that particular use case is video learning. Now, what does that mean? Video learning means that you have the data that you're learning from is in form of video, and you're trying to solve a certain problem, which is you want a robot to go around and execute tasks. This could be a car driving around, this could be a robot picking up stuff, etc., etc. So it comes from video and it has a certain task. The AI here is the task. AI is always defined as the task. So the artificial intelligence that can do X. For example, the artificial intelligence that can do driving around, that's a different type of artificial intelligence than the artificial intelligence that can answer questions, and so on and so forth. So again, Tesla is in the business of building an AI that can drive around the real world or do things in the real world if we add the humanoid robot to the spectrum of products. Now for that, they use video as input and they want to learn from that video. Now the way they can do that is in several ways. I think again this goes across the stack and back to Onur Mutlu, our computer architect at Polytech in Zurich. When you think about these types of things, when you think about computer architecture, when you think about the types of compute you want to provide for certain types of applications, always think across the stack. Start at the bottom, go up, go from the top, go down. For example, if my application is a thing, let's say a car that sees through cameras and then has to make decisions, well, that is a video application. So how can I build a stack under it, for example, in terms of learning, that can take advantage of the video data? And that is what DOJO is. It's a video learning stack. It's a massive compute stack that helps learning from video. Now, what does learning from video mean? Video is essentially three-dimensional data coming in certain ways. It's in the end, everything is of course zeros and ones. And then if we go a little bit up the stack, it is pixels, and those pixels have a certain meaning. That's what annotation does. So we have to understand what is a road, we have to understand what is a pedestrian, and so on and so forth. So that is what video is, and Tesla has to work on models. Tesla has to work on, for example, foundation models. I've spoken about large video models as a potential idea. So you can use the same transformer idea from the text side, and instead of having large language models, you just have large video models, and then you go from there. So this is one of the applications that I believe Tesla is going to go definitely try to explore. And the potential for innovation here is massive. I mean, think about it. If Tesla is able to bring a ChatGPT moment to the car of the side of the world, I mean, just think of the massive transformation this could have for transportation, and the massive implication this could have, of course, also for the valuation of Tesla. So this is in general what we believe is so important in this particular announcement. Now, again, I want to put it sort of in context, because I believe that we underestimate the importance of compute. Everybody always talks about Silicon Valley and all the great innovations that come from there, but somebody has to provide the actual compute, which means the processing and the memory and the interconnect. And this is in general what I think I would say NVIDIA is doing: processing, memory, interconnect. The processing happens in GPUs. The memory happens in all kinds of ways, particularly, DRAM, but there's a lot of different solutions now on the memory side. And then there's the interconnect that can help optimize the compute, the power consumption, the speed, the performance, and all of these things. That's what Tesla is doing with DOJO. And now, why is this relevant? Why can't we just use a regular, some computer that is already out there? Why does Tesla have to do this? Well, the answer is because nobody has solved that problem. The problems that have been solved with compute have been different. If we go way back, the first computers, they were really built to solve code in terms of World War II, Alan Turing, that kind of stuff. Then computers were used to do banking and transactions. It was called electronic data processing. That's how the German translation of compute or computer science was called. Elektronische Datenverfassung. Datenerfassung or Verfassung. No, elektronische Datenverarbeitung, EDV. Okay, electronic data processing. This is what data was. It was just data processing. It was transactions, relational databases. Then we had the moon landing and the birth of processors that can do more complex calculations. For example, calculate the path of a rocket in space and things like that. The birth of Intel and the processor and the CPU. With that, we have the computer revolution in the 80s with PCs and all that stuff. Then we have then we have internet, then we have mobile, then we have social, which is the next sort of version of mobile and internet. And now we have AI. And AI, the difference with AI is that it's the data that does the programming. That's the key. The data does the programming. So we have to find a way to look at the data and let the data do the programming. So that requires, again, an infrastructure to get the data and learn from the data. And then, of course, we need also the right models, which is what, let's say, OpenAI did in terms of building foundation models, large language models, things along those lines. So this is again, this is really absolutely key to understand this path, this arch of innovation that has happened on the compute side of things, and that is not, of course, still happening. To understand Tesla's role in this and what it means for the future of Tesla. It means that they can solve AI, but it also means that they can get to all new kinds of pathways when it comes to software 2.0, AI, machine learning, these types of innovations that are currently driving investment cycles in Silicon Valley. These innovations were just at the beginning. Tesla is at the forefront of this. Tesla is also competing with talent for this. The person, let's say this gentleman that runs AI infrastructure, his name is Zaman. He's based in San Francisco. I'm sure he's being coveted by Facebook and Google and of course NVIDIA. So these people will be rare. I think also for listeners who are maybe a bit younger, this is an era you want to be in. You want to be in machine learning. You want to be in infrastructure. You want to think about computer architecture when it comes to machine learning and AI. Those are important problems that have to be solved. They haven't been solved. People want more intelligence. They want it in virtual space with text and things like that, but they also want it in real space. This is what Tesla is doing. So solving those problems will generate massive amounts of wealth and also, of course, be good for the world. Like I always say, we always go down to the product when life becomes complex, when life becomes more, let's say, more dimensional, always boil it down to the product. The product is a car that drives itself. The product is a car that is safe to drive, that is safer to drive than a human, that gets you the relaxation time, the safety and the security that you need when you go from A to B. Maybe some comfort, maybe some entertainment, all of that kind of stuff. That's the product. And this DOJO is helping build that product. How? Well, again, software 2.0. We need data to learn from data. We can build foundation models and then maybe have a much, much deeper intelligence, machine intelligence that can help us drive cars. To summarize, the announcement by Tesla yesterday through Twitter that DOJO is sort of at the beginning of exponential growth in terms of compute is a massive, massive information that Tesla investors should take very seriously. Shout out to Rob Maurer, who did that yesterday, who actually pointed me to that situation. So shout out to Rob Maurer, who by far is the best Tesla investor, and I would say analyst right now on Wall Street, because he has that subtle understanding of what really matters for the stock, and that's very, very rare. He's not just an analyst; he's an investor. He's an investor. He has skin in the game. You can feel that in the way he thinks, and I appreciate that a lot. So again, it's important to understand that DOJO is a foundation that is necessary to solve the AI problem. That's the important thing. We're not going to get there just by buying off-the-shelf computers from Dell and HP. That's not going to happen. So you have to build your own. The question, of course, is how far do you want to go in your own? In terms of Tesla, I think it's necessary because the problem that Tesla is solving is very unique. DOJO is a massive ASIC. It's it's actually Jensen said the new unit of compute is the data center. Well, DOJO is the unit of compute when it comes to video analysis, video learning. Thank you.